Hello everyone, this is Monstertaming coming at you with another Kindred Fates community newsletter, this one from May 20th of 2022. First off, we have a little bit of information about the Combat Arena. Our biggest alpha patch went live. It came with a bunch of quality of life and balance changes. And the first new arena added since initial release, Cavern, is the most vertical yet, with many nooks and crannies that skilled players can take advantage of. Read the full patch notes here. In our follow-up patch, we've also introduced Avion to the alpha as a playable kinfolk. Every type is now represented in the arena, which feels good. Launch powerful projectiles from the skies with Avion, but be careful. If your stamina runs out, you'll be at the mercy of your opponent on the ground. You can also read the full patch notes. I've also done a video on those patch notes. We started reworking our lock-on system. Some of you may remember that we once had to remove due to being abusable. We're working on a version that hopefully will balance to skilled and amateur players alike. Our biggest focus with this is to help players target on the screen without providing range characters an inherent advantage while using it. We think this will be a significant improvement to the field of melee characters, just like when the last version released. We'll be extra observant of your feedback on this feature. In an upcoming patch, we'll introduce the configuration option to not have Avion automatically land when it touches the ground. You'll have to manually toggle flight if you have this option enabled. And we'll make improvements to our controller support in the very near future as well, with primary focus being on improving the feel, making controls more responsive. One feature we're especially looking forward to is enabling variable movement and camera speed that correspond with how far you're pushing the controller stick. I'm sure that controller players will be very happy to hear stuff like that. For the lock-on, a little brief thing that Joey has told us is right now the current plans are the lock-on will break automatically whenever you lose line of sight, and like if they teleport or something, it breaks even if they're still in line of sight, which overall I think it sounds like a pretty good basic change so far, but we only have the vaguest idea, so I'm not going to comment too much on that until we get to hear more about it. We've started investigating and tinkering P2P, peer-to-peer system. We're able to get 3 players into the same arena using peer-to-peer with very solid performance throughout. This is in preparation for future co-op and 2v2, assuming performs well in testing. We'll eventually replace our current server-based system for alpha matches. We anticipate that players who usually have pretty bad ping will be able to host their matches and gain increased performance. Based on our initial speed test, things are looking promising. Check out the video below for our first successful trial of P2P. This test shows players connecting between different locations across North America. Yeah, so they're just kind of, yeah, it looks good. They're just vibing. It doesn't look laggy. The ping seems stable. The FPS is decent and all, so it's looking like it's coming along nicely. I mean, this is just 3 players, and I don't think this is ever going to be particularly something that we see. Like, I don't think we're ever just going to see 3. Because it's going to be 2v2. I don't know if they'll ever add free-for-all mode or not. That would be insane if they did, but yeah, overall it's looking pretty nice. Alright, for the single player settings menu is finally getting a facelift. We're really excited to be adding a version that's easier to use and much more pleasant to look at. We're planning to eventually add this version to the Combat Arena Alpha as well. Here's a work in progress preview of the new UI. Yes, it does look very nice. Made many different bug fixes for camping. The biggest of which is make sure that the camp stays in the same place after saving and loading. Very important. We made final adjustments to the utility AI hybrid method in the last newsletter. It's now merged in single player. Also made a first pass on Whole Pierce's Combat AI. Started looking selectively, slowing the speeds of certain animations for NPCs to make attacks more telegraphed. This should give players more opportunity to react to abilities when playing as a player, and also keeps animations unchanged in our more fast-paced PvP environment. Made several adjustments that affect the look and feel of how NPCs animate. They now smoothly blend between their idle and running animations and vice versa. Animate turns better and face the player more often. This can also be used to help movement of the player characters feel better overall. Applying a small acceleration curve to movement vastly improved the look and feel of character movement without the stiffness it had previously. This method is performant, doesn't require the use of turning animations. It still requires some workshopping, but we hope they'll be usable in the near future. See a sneak peek below. Before we go there, I wanted to comment a little bit on this. I saw some people talking about this in the Discord. So, to read this again, we have started looking selectively slowing the speeds of certain animations for NPCs to make attacks more telegraphed. This should give players more opportunity to react to abilities when playing single player and also keeps animations unchanged in our more fast-paced PvP environment. Now, basically what they're saying is they're trying to make the single player a little bit easier, which makes sense because you don't want to feel like you get cheated out of losing kinfolk. But I also feel this will make very poor practice for PvP. Maybe they should make this a difficulty option, and then have the faster paced animations as a higher difficulty, because that personally I don't want my game to be easier in PvE and then basically dull my skills for PvP. Like, I want to have that constant fast paced combat all the time and keep my wits about me, all that. And then even someone who has never played the PvP before, if they're just vibing through the main story and then eventually decide they want to try PvP, they won't be quite as prepared as someone who has played a bunch of PvP already. Like, I mean, there's already going to be that gap between an experienced PvPer and a PvEer trying it for the first time, but the fact that the animations would be different, and animations matter a ton in PvP and Kindred Fates. Like, you can cancel um, your enemy's attack essentially. Like, if a Lumala, well, not blatantly cancel, but you can punish is a better word. Like, if a Lumala is using Righteous Light, you know you have like a second before that you can get in there to throw something on them, or you can see Ember start to lift his hands for explosion and stuff, and these are all very timing related, especially involving use of shield and dodge and etc, and what direction you want to go in and what move you want to use to counter them and everything like that. And just the pace would be completely thrown off if it was slowed down in PvE and then you came over to PvP. It would just make you a worse PvP player. Now, the reason I say that you can just keep this on easy mode, for example, just make it so that if someone has literally no interest in PvP, they never want to be prepared for PvP, and they just want to enjoy the game that's at a reasonable difficulty level, then make that an option for them. But then keep these other animations. Since you already have two sets of animations, one for PvE, one for PvP, just use the PvP set in the single player world if they select the harder difficulty mode. This would also be a cool way to increase difficulty, in my opinion. Whereas a lot of games just inflate the damage or the health or something like that. But this would actually make it more fast paced and be more skill determined difficulty setting. But end of rant, and now we'll go on to see this preview here. And there you have it. That's all. I should have maybe saved my rant. Oh, we have a problem. Yep, epic. Yeah, probably should save my rant talk till we watch that, but I hope you guys could get some level of understanding from that rant I threw out there, and hope you otherwise enjoyed the newsletter. But until next time, this has been Monstertaming Bisloba, signing off. Hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye, God bless, and see you all next time. Bye-bye.